Good morning, folks. Chad with Brevard Insurance here for this Friday's live show. We've got John Wayne Hardison here with Bartlett Tree Experts, and so naturally our topic is going to be insurance and trees today. I'll be the fill-in anchor for our fearless leader, Jay, who is at an insurance conference, which I'm sure sounds riveting to everyone. We're just wired a little bit different.
That could be a fun live feed, just watching Jay at one of those conferences.
Right.
That would be good.
But here you guys are watching a show about insurance, so maybe you guys are the weird ones. I'm not real sure. But at any rate.
Because that's all this is going to be about, insurance.
Right. Yeah. So to start off, go ahead and send us any questions you may have about trees or how insurance relates to trees. You can just comment on the post, or you can send us a message as well. Either way, and we'll hit those up at the end. So the one question we always get concerning trees and insurance is, if a neighbor's tree falls on my house, whose insurance responds? And the surprising question or answer to that for most time is your insurance responds. Only in an event where the neighbor was put on notice that the tree was dying or something like that would their insurance come into play. So just think about that, and then if you have any more questions that we can dive into deeper insurance related later on, you can send those in a message as well. John Wayne, go ahead and tell us a little bit about Bartlett and what you guys do around here.
Yeah, just tree and shrub and plant care is really what we're all about. We really try to focus. Businesses have slogans all the time, but one of Bartlett's is scientific tree care, and it really, really is the truth. It's amazing. We've got a lab, a research lab in Charlotte, and there's about, I think there's 12 or 14 PhDs, pathologists, entomologists down there that are constantly just researching and studying stuff. There's actually, since the Bartlett office opened here in Western North Carolina, there's been a couple new things found here, and there's actually a research plot happening on sycamore trees here in Brevard right now that the lab's taken care of, so that's pretty cool. We obviously cut trees down, but usually if it's not an obvious dead tree or a tree that needs to be cut down because of a new house going in or something like that, we really try to talk about the pros and cons of that tree, and is there another alternative to that? So
I think that the lab thing I wasn't aware of and is pretty interesting. Is this something like the process of you come out and take a sample of something and send it to the lab for testing, and to get more information on other than just looking at the tree?
Yeah, absolutely. That's we can take plant samples, insect or fungal issues, and send those into the lab. There's all kinds of root rot and root decay issues that happen under the soil, so we can get root samples and send those in. Obviously foliar and tissue samples and send those in. If there's insects present, we can send those insects in, and the entomologist can almost always determine exactly what it is, what the treatment should be. Often enough, it's issues that aren't problems at all. Just as us humans not many of us are perfect, but and plants too. Most trees have some type of a foliar defect on them. Just looking at the ground, there's all kinds of little spots on this, but with it being an oak leaf, and at the end of the year, it's not a problem at all. Yeah, just typical. It's just what's going to happen.
Okay.
So,
I'm sure you guys all are aware of the dangers of tree removal and tree work, and so one more thing I wanted to hit on was the importance of insurance for arborists, and safety techniques you guys use. To keep your employees safe, and obviously property damage at a minimum. Do you want to hit on that a little bit?
The biggest recipe for disaster that I would say, and if you aren't aware of this, you can go to YouTube and change. It's like gas and fire; they just don't mix.
Yeah.
chainsaws and ladders. They are just the perfect recipe for a disaster.
Just don't.
I mean, ladders are dangerous enough, and chainsaws are dangerous enough. You put the two of those together, you're standing on a ladder, you're cutting something that's obviously going to fall, and it's bad news. You mentioned at the beginning about about insurance claims with trees falling. Keep in mind, trees don't, one thing I always tell clients is that trees do not know property lines. They don't care about property lines.
Sure.
Usually it's been my experience, if you feel like you have a tree that is on your neighbor's property that's potentially a threat to you, having conversations, being open-minded with that conversation with the neighbor is usually the best thing to do. And always keeping in mind, the thing that I often try to get across to people is that a tree is part of Mother Nature and nobody owns Mother Nature.
Right.
And really, it's my opinion, so you and I are neighbors, you've got a tree on your property that's a threat to my house. Unless you've done something to cause that tree to be a threat to my house,
right.
like you put in a swimming pool and you cut all the roots and now the tree's leaning towards my house, you obviously influenced that. If you didn't do that, then the fact that the tree is just growing and leaning towards my house is not your fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault, but it's not a threat to your house, it's a threat to my house.
Sure.
So it's more of an issue that I should probably be prepared to address on my own.
Okay.
Even though it's rooted on your property, it doesn't matter. The other thing people don't think about a lot too, because normally when a tree's way off the property line, you don't get concerned with it. It's usually when they're right on the line. But you own your property line and a line straight up,
Right.
vertical line straight up. So the parts of that tree that are hanging over that property line are actually now technically mine. Now you can't do anything in the world you want to with it, but
Yeah.
so.
I think we had one or two questions from earlier in the week. When should you trim your trees? Like the best time of year? When should they be inspected? And why should we use native species instead of invasive?
Yeah, trimming your trees, it depends on what you're pruning out and how much. Obviously, if you've got a dead limb in your tree, any time of year, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doing a lot of pruning, so up to 20-25% of pruning, usually better in the non-growing season for the tree to do that. There's a little bit of argument both ways. My best suggestion would be to call a qualified arborist.
Sure.
and have them come look at what you're wanting done. And a qualified arborist should be able to look at the scope of work that you're wanting done and the goals you're trying to achieve and recommend the best time to do it.
Okay.
So for that.
And briefly, the importance of native species.
I mean, the first one that comes to mind are pollinating bees. I mean, planting a sourwood instead of planting some exotic tree. The sourwoods are one of the few trees that bloom when sourwoods bloom, and bees are very dependent on those
Sure.
on those flowers, and so it's just super important for the whole system.
Okay. That's a lot of good information. We have, you were going to give us 4 or 5 things that you can give homeowners to look at on their own, visual type inspections to do. So if you want to, I'm going to step off. If you want to go over those 4 or 5 things
Okay.
For everybody that they can maybe do on their own and check out this week.
Yeah, so there's a couple things just over the years that I've noticed that typically lead to tree problems. Edge trees, so a tree that's growing on the edge of a change of landscape is one thing. Trees are going to grow towards the light, so naturally where you have your house, you've created a big open spot of light, so trees that are on the edge of the woods are going to grow towards that. Obvious wounds in the tree, so if somebody has backed a car into a tree and created a big wound, that's something that should be kept an eye on and inspected. Let's see, what wounds, codominant stems, so if you have 2 trees that are connected like at the base, sometimes it's a little bit higher up in the tree, but you have 2 stems coming from one trunk, those are really high likely of failure. Real easy to mitigate the risk with that, but high likelihood of failure. That would definitely warrant an inspection of a tree. Anytime you see mushrooms growing on your tree, on the trunk of the tree, or right around the base of the tree, mushrooms are just the fruiting bodies, the flowering part of a fungus, and a lot of times it's a wood decaying fungus. So that's another reason to inspect a tree. And then in the summertime, a term that we use is called tip dieback. So if the very outer tips of the tree are not fully foliated and don't have foliage on them, then that's probably a pretty good indication that that tree's stressed and should be looked at and see if it needs some help. And if you ever do get to have any tree work done, just be prepared. If you can have your kids around home from school to watch it, it is always live action when tree work's happening and a lot of fun.
Hey, how you doing over here?
Hey.
How you doing? I heard you were a pretty good tree guy over here, huh?
Yeah, well, sometimes, yeah.
Hey, good
Try to
tree
be.
guy, good tree guy. I like it, I like it, I like it right now. This is good. So you got your saw over here. I was hoping to maybe get a few tips on the saw.
This is my saw now.
Okay, okay.
Or did you bring this?
No, this is mine.
Oh, your saw. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm making sure.
Good deal. So I understand you're a tree professional. Is this correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just want to let you know I'm here from the Jersey Shore. As you can see, I have on my custom fit tracksuit and a little bling here for effect, if you know what I'm talking about. So I'm what you would call maybe a professional do-it-yourselfer kind of guy.
Okay.
And so when you're talking about the saw and you're doing the things, what kind? I mean, is this appropriate footwear over here? My flip-flops.
Absolutely.
As you can
not.
see, these are custom Ocean Pacific flip-flops. And you don't think this is a good idea?
No, not a good idea at all for doing any type of manual labor, especially not running a chainsaw. Yeah.
Well.
So good firm grip on your shoes and something that will fully protect your toes and top of your feet.
So beach wear, not okay in the tree.
Not okay in the tree or on the ground running a saw.
Okay, no saw, no flip-flops, doesn't cross over.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right. I heard you talking a little bit about your lab and you take some samples and things like that. Just curiosity, do you want to get a sample of these trunks right here? These trunks?
No, I don't know what our lab would do with those. That's pretty impressive.
I think the testers always come back and say, prime A meat. Prime A meat. Very good, very good. Okay. What about headgear? Is this okay? Headgear to use when I'm running a saw, something like that?
At minimum, you should have hearing protection on.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Hearing protection is always good to have. You should certainly have hearing protection and glasses, safety glasses.
Okay.
Not your sunglasses, not your Vipers or your Oakleys, but approved safety glasses.
So not my Smith.
No,
glasses?
probably not. I mean, Smith might make some that are approved, but they need to be safety glasses.
So educate me on the difference between like my sunglasses that I might wear at the beach and your safety glasses.
Some of them, it's the shatterproof of it. That's why I know Smith makes a lot of glasses for outdoor stuff. But so the shattering of them, but also being able to see good, like your really dark sunglasses when you're hanging out on the Jersey Shore to keep the sun out of your eyes, and so that maybe people can't see where your eyes are wandering around and all. Maybe those might not be as appropriate because you need to really be able to see what you're doing running the saw.
Okay. So if you were to come up to my house and let's say you take a look at my tree, you look at the tree, what are you looking for?
What? Well, I just mentioned a handful of things that I would look for, but the first thing I try to do is figure out what, why are we looking at this tree? What are your goals? How long are you planning on being at this property? What does this tree do for you? Why are you scared of this tree? And then really to start with is species.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm scared of anything, especially a tree, but I understand where you're coming from. So when you look up in a tree and maybe where two limbs are coming together, what do we call this?
It is a term called included bark, and it's when bark gets included in the crotch of the tree.
I'm sorry?
Included bark. So bark
No. Speed up.
Bark gets included in the tree.
To the crotch.
Bark in the crotch of the tree.
So if you came to
You
my
could
house.
also call it a limb union, but that's just boring. It doesn't create as much good conversation.
So
with
if
the
I
client.
see you out in front of my house, you're looking up against a tree, say, hey, stop looking at my crotch over here. That's okay. That's what you're doing. You're looking up at my crotch.
At your tree's crotch.
All right.
Or you're speaking for your trees.
Listen, hey, that's
You're
enough.
speaking for your trees.
Hey, that's enough crotch talk. All right,
Okay,
I got to
all
keep Mama Sabrina, Mama Faye happy. All right,
Okay.
no crotch talk.
Okay,
No crotch
all
talk
right.
over here. That's too much. too much. There's ladies watching this. There's ladies watching.
You missed a big spot in between here, though. So chainsaw chaps are super important. These track shorts, track pants that you got on here, this is the most common injury with a chainsaw. So definitely chainsaw chaps.
And those,
don't be too proud.
Leather chaps or?
No leather.
I have a pair of those. You know what I mean?
That does not work. That is not approved chainsaw.
For my motorcycle ride.
Chaps.
For my motorcycle ride.
Yeah.
Okay.
After you get off the motorcycle, you want to keep those leather chaps looking good. You're going to get a lot of.
And let me tell you, they look good on this specimen right here. You know what I'm saying?
Sure they do. I'm sure. Absolutely.
That's good. That's good. All right. So you're looking at crotches. You're running chainsaws. I mean, have you ever been called to a house, let's say, where some couple of, walk around guys maybe did some work and you had to go clean it up?
I have, yeah. Yeah, it's happens pretty often. We're actually cleaning up from some improper landscaper cuts at College Walk. Right.
Oh, that's a way to call those guys know exactly who they are. Nice job.
Yeah.
Nice job. Okay, so if Uncle Tommy and Uncle Johnny Potato were out in the backyard and they made a mistake on a tree and maybe it fell close to a car, or maybe it didn't fall at all, they were trying to pull it off with the chain, you could come and fix something like that.
We could definitely fix it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's good to know.
We can fix the tree issue. I don't know about these uncles you've got.
Hey, it's family, okay? It's family, hey. Very good. Well, I think this has been very informative, Mr. Hardison. Thank you very much. We appreciate your service here at the trees. It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. Take care of those trunks you got there.
Hey, they are grade A trunks. Grade A trunks. Thanks for joining us today on BIA Live. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Hashtag Protect What Matters. And next week, we're going to be talking to Wes Dixon about some bicycling. I think you'll want to tune in for that. All right. Have a good day.
See ya.